All right, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. Tekking and Barry back again alongside of our esteemed guest, Lord Emu-sama. Let's hear it for Lord Emu-sama. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. The absolute sheer dread and terror that comes along with the Lord Emu showing up at your front door goes away pretty quickly when he just never leaves. Okay? He is not the greatest house guest. He doesn't clean up after himself. He doesn't take out the trash, and you don't even want to know what the bathroom looks like after he's done using it. Okay? It's a biohazard site in there right now. Okay? So, gotta deal with that right now. But whatever. Lord Emu, everybody. Yeah, okay. Anyway, gonna be talking about the new Netflix One Piece trailer for Season 2, Enter the Grand Line. It dropped yesterday. Really hype stuff. We got to see a lot of the Baroque Works agents, and so we're gonna be going through that today. We got until March 10th. March 10th, so less than 2 months away for me to make the last remaining 2 episodes of the East Blue arc. They've only been out for 3 years, you know? It's gonna be the last week before. You know how that's gonna go with me, all right? It's gonna be a week before the new season drops, and I'm gonna be like, shit! You know, and we're gonna get out both episodes at once, so that'll be the way it goes. I mean, if I could get it done before then, hopefully, but let's just hedge our bets that it's gonna be a week before, maybe even the day before, right? Okay, well anyway, before we get into the actual trailer, we're going to pull up some images here. There's been some information that's come out, like, you know, since the last time I talked about this, since the initial teaser trailer. Let me just move this over here. I'm doing a little bit of a different setup today. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is just, you know, obviously the title card, but we got some images and stills in the intervening time. So this is just the new promotional poster that we have here, focusing on Whiskey Peak, on Cactus Island. It has a very Old West town kind of vibe to it. Lots of cacti are going to be part of the set, so that looks really cool. This is Log Town. We've seen this. This is like one of the first promotional images that was ever shown, so I just kind of like threw everything together into one thing just to kind of show you all the stuff we've learned up until now. This is something cool. I don't think I've ever shown this before. This is Iñaki Godoy. This is Luffy on the cliff looking over at Laboon. Oh, look at him in all his whale goodness. Look at Laboon. All right, and we see Crocus's lighthouse there in the distance and the Twin Capes. This looks like a really nice shot. I really like this. Obviously, that's all, like, they CG'd it in, like, the red line back there. But, dude, this looks nice. This looks really good. The CG work on this show, because they gotta do it at certain points, especially when it comes to, like, the establishing shots with the island. You know, I don't think they built all of Cactus Island. But that establishing shot going to Cactus Island looked really good. And this looks like the red line, this just large rock wall that just stretches on into the distance over the horizon and you just above the clouds. It looks really good. Here we have Clive Russell playing Crocus. I am so hyped for this guy. You do not understand. There's another character that I think is going to be a huge deal, just from, like, the personality that this guy exudes, and we'll get to him when we get to him. But Clive Russell playing Crocus, just look at the vibes coming off of this guy, right? Former member of the Roger Pirates. He knows what the One Piece is. He traveled to the ends of the world, and now he's just chilling out in his lighthouse, wearing his sandals, drinking like I don't know what that is, like a mimosa or some shit off to the... He has an umbrella drink. Crocus is the kind of guy that just hangs out and drinks an umbrella drink. It's awesome. He's reading the World Economic newspaper. The headline here, as you can see, I think I can zoom in. I can. Alabasta princess still missing, and we can see that this is actually the flag of the Alabasta kingdom. It doesn't show up that often in the story, and it is just an image of the sun, which looks remarkably similar to a couple of other images we see in the story, like the Sun Pirates Jolly Roger, which in turn is used to cover up the hoof of the Celestial Dragon. But we can also see an ad for Galley Law Company over here, so I don't know, maybe they're looking for new workers or something like that, like an ad for the Galley Law, you know. Then we have some other random stuff in the background, like the set decorations. We get a lot of, like, old photos. Is this a photo of Roger? Wait a minute, this guy has a pirate hat back there. Wait a minute. Like, That would be so cool. I didn't even realize because I never actually stopped to look at the stuff in the background, right? But this show is really good about putting stuff in the background. So I don't know. That might be Yorkie, that might be Roger, but like the idea that Crocus would decorate his lighthouse and in the background you just see an image of him hanging out with the King of the Pirates or Rayleigh back there. That would be so cool if they did stuff like that. Just way in the background. They didn't focus on it or anything. If you notice, you notice. Like, that would be sweet. All right, so just, that's something that in season 1 they did a phenomenal job with. So pay attention. Pay attention to the background in every single shot, in every single set, because they are extraordinarily meticulous with that kind of stuff. All right? Pay attention. All right. Next up, yeah, we have the Straw Hat crew hanging out outside the lighthouse now with Crocus. This is probably the scene where, actually, hold on, Nami's holding something here. I'm not really sure what she is holding. What is that? It looks like some kind of box or some kind of, like, I don't know, actually, what that is. Huh. It's not the log pose, that's for sure. But, you know, this might be the scene where he gets the log pose for everybody and explains to them what the Grand Line really is and all that kind of stuff there. What is this cool gadget that Usopp is wearing? Oh, that's cool. What is that? It's like a really cool, like, triple different... Oh, is this where he keeps his, like, ammunition? That would be cool if that was, like, a nice little addition to that. Like, he keeps his, like, different, like, you know, that would be, like, the exploding star, and then, like, he has, like, the Tabasco, like, all the different kinds of stars he keeps on him. That would be kind of sweet. Like, a little holster on his arm. That's neat. There's Zoro drinking an umbrella drink. You know, I love that. And then there's Luffy. Look at all the umbrellas! Like, I never even noticed all of the umbrellas. Look at all the umbrellas! There's a pineapple! Just... Man, I know I'm getting really overly excited just from the background. I need to interview the set designer this time. You know, last time I got the chance, the amazing chance to interview the cinematographer for the first 2 episodes, Nicole Hirsch-Whitaker, and she was incredible. I would love to talk to the set designer this time, or the costume designer, because anybody in the set or in the costumes, they did an amazing job. They did above and beyond of what they needed to do. Okay, it's really cool. All right, so yeah, there's just Luffy hanging out, eating a pineapple, drinking a pineapple drink with a bunch of umbrellas. I love that. I love that. Okay. All right. There's the Straw Hats just walking through Whiskey Peak. This is clearly like right after they first arrived, and everybody is like super friendly and nice to them. Like, welcome, pirates. Walk around. Go wherever you want. Everything's free for you. Just have a great time. That's all we're here to do. Okay. This is great. Okay, so there was, I think it was like a TikTok video where they actually show the set of Whiskey Peak, all right, and it looks so good, and there is canonically a bakery. We did it. There's a bakery in One Piece. I mean, there always were, but, like, we get to see an actual bakery in Whiskey Peak, all right, and this is, like, the Whiskey Peak bakery delivery car. Now, you might be wondering, like, does this really fit into the One Piece world? It does, because I think it's more of, like, it's not so much, it's more of a bicycle kind of vehicle. Like, there might be a simple engine or something in there, and there's lights and things. But yeah, I don't think it's, like, a normal vehicle. It's, like, something that you maybe have to, like, run with your legs a little bit, like a Flintstone kind of vehicle. Now, here's the kicker. I just realized, just because of, you know, the stuff that we know now in the story, they could totally, like, either in the background or something like that, they could drop Vegapunk's name, right? Like, they could mention it. They could bring up that, like, oh, hey, yeah, this is the new model of vehicle. Like, there's an engine in there that just came straight from Egghead. It's a brand new device that was just invented by Vegapunk. They could drop that into the background, right? Like, they could just have the Straw Hats walking down the street and a bunch of, like, dudes hanging out by this thing having a conversation like, yeah, new engine right out of Egghead, man. And this thing gets, like, 5 horsepower. You know, like, you could have a scene like that and it would fit. So, like, I'm perfectly happy. The great thing about the One Piece world is just, and all the anachronisms, is pretty much anything could fit, right? Like, anything could be in this story. Like, I did see, like, in season 1, people that, you know, obviously had never seen One Piece before, they have no idea. You know, some comments about, like, at Party's bar, at Makino's bar in Fuchsia, there's, like, a neon sign, and they're like, well, wait a minute, if this takes place in pirate times, then how is there a neon sign with electricity? And be like, no, it it actually does make sense because this is not our world. This is a fantasy version of our world. This is not that, and there is actually an explanation on like where they get electricity from and how that stuff exists in this world. And and so it's great. But like, yeah, I love this thing. This thing is so cool. The bakery mobile. I love it. Here's just some more shots of the Whiskey Peak set. Whiskey Peak Ale, the best you'll get. Yeah, all right. Here's a shot of Dory and Broggy. Broggy is played by Brendan Murray, and Dory is played by Werner Kotzer. All right, and so they're just squaring off against each other. Like, Dory, Broggy, let's go. They look like best friends that just, they fight and beat the shit out of each other every day. Honestly, you just need a routine, right? And so then we have a shot here. Now, this is an interesting shot. We have a shot with Lara Bova playing Robin. She's going to show up a bunch of other times during this trailer, and she is the takeaway from all of this. Everybody is raving over Lara Bova right now playing Robin. Okay, she definitely made this trailer, all right? Absolutely. But then in the background there, we, of course, have Mr. Five, Gem of the Border, and he is played by Camrus Johnson. And then we have Miss Valentine played by Jazara Jaslin. I've said this before. I love names that have alliteration. Her name is Jazara Jaslin. I love that. All right. It's the coolest name I've ever heard ever. Like, seriously. Okay. So where is this scene taking place? So we've seen this in the initial trailer, the shot where Robin breaks open the door to that Marine base, and you could see Sengoku and Kong's, like, the statues of them off to the side. So it is clearly a Marine base. The only place I think this could make sense is Logtown. So yes, they're adding some extra scenes with the Baroque Works agents, so probably expect to see this scene at Logtown. So for whatever reason, Robin and Mr. Five and Miss Valentine were given a mission by Crocodile to go to Logtown to do something at a Marine base. Not really sure what, but that seems to be the idea. Just remember the way they handled Garp in Season 1. By the way, Garp does narrate the opening part of this trailer, so we'll probably get, I think, at least a scene with Garp in Episode 1. It's going to be a little tricky, and this is a problem that I think we're going to run across, that they're going to have to be really clever on how they handle, because we had that, like, B-plot with Garp and Kobe and Helmeppo in Season 1, but we're probably not going to continue that every single season. So it's almost like they got to select a new B-plot going along the entire season. So this one, I think, is going to be focused on Robin, because Robin, in the context of the manga, only really shows up at the end of Whiskey Peak and then doesn't show up again until Alabasta. You could have a scene like at the very end, because Season 2 is going to go all the way up to the end of Drum Island. You could very easily have a scene where you see Robin at the end of Whiskey Peak and then she shows up at the very end, at Rain Dinners with Crocodile or something. But I don't think they're obviously shooting more with her. So I think what that's going to happen is we're going to have a Robin B-plot that's going to go throughout this entire season. Like, she's going to be given a mission by Crocodile. She's going to be in Episode 1 at Logtown. I guarantee it. She's going to be there, and then she's also going to show up at Whiskey Peak, and then we might see her, maybe not meeting the Straw Hats at Little Garden, but we might see a different scene with her, maybe going back to Alabasta or hanging out or communicating with Crocodile, during Little Garden or during Drum Island. We're just going to get a lot more of Robin in Season 2, and that's probably going to be the focus. Like, she's going to be doing stuff in the background, and then that's going to lead into her probably returning to Rain Dinners and reaching Alabasta. And Season 3 is already done. I don't know if it's already done, but they've already, like, they're either filming it or they're done filming it. Like, it was happening, like, shortly after this. So Season 3, we know 100% is going to come out a lot sooner than, the gap between Season 1 and 2, right? So we're going to kind of just lead into that. But yeah, that's most likely what's going to happen. So right here, also, we got Mr. Five and Miss Valentine. So we're going to get them during Logtown, then during Whiskey Peak, and then we'll have the final battle with them during Little Garden. So we'll get more of their characters and get to see what they're all about, right? Which I like. I like to do that. Like, they expand more on the characters. Here is Vivi, played by Charithra Chandran. This is her captive by the Straw Hats. This is, I'm assuming this is a shot maybe directly after Whiskey Peak, when, they know she's a princess, they know the whole story, but they still aren't 100%. I don't know, this vibe of this scene just seems like, like, oh, we gotta tie her up because she's a the villain, and then she's just there like, is this really necessary? Are we really doing this right now? You could just let me go. And they're like, well, I can imagine Usopp being like, I don't trust you, and just being like, I'm not gonna kill you. Like, okay. Like, and then they just let her go. I also love how you see Luffy's wanted poster in the background here. So this is, the interior shots of the Going Merry. Right. And so, yeah, Charitha Chandran playing Vivi, I think she's going to do a phenomenal job. Like I said, I think all of the actors and, like I said, the costume design work is on point with this, like 100%. We'll get more into it as we go into the trailer, but my God, they really did their homework on this. And when they add extra stuff to the characters, like there's something that gets added to Galdino, which isn't in the manga, but it makes so much sense. And so we'll get to that when we get to them. This is Mrs. Golden Week, played by Sophia Ann Caruso. There's a shot with her in the trailer with Luffy where she's like painting, and she gives the impression, very much in the manga, of just like this very stoic, mild manner, doesn't really express herself all that much. But then when she's like actually painting and using her colors trap on people, she has this like sadistic smile on her face. Like that's the only thing that kind of makes her happy, is when she's like manipulating people's emotions. And when we see the trailer, when we are going to get to that, these are just like promotional shots that are like pretty good high quality. But once we get to the trailer, you'll see it in the background. They added like another kind of theme with her, I guess, is the best way of seeing it. But yeah, she looks like Mrs. Golden Week. Mr. Nine, played by Daniel Lasker. Okay. He looks like he's having fun with it. There's a shot where he's going up against Zoro fighting with the baseball bats, and there's some good choreography there, and the way that he's like blocking Zoro's swords. And so yeah, this is gonna be a fun character. I love the hair. The hair is incredible. I actually have a Mr. Nine like plushie somebody made for me. Mr. Nine. Yeah. You know what? I kind of want to see some more shots with them, to be honest with you, because Mr. Nine, he shows up, him and Vivi show up during Reverse Mountain inside of Laboon, and then they go with the Straw Hats all the way to Whiskey Peak, and they get there. And actually, I just realized that shot earlier with Vivi, this might actually also take place when they're going from Reverse Mountain to Whiskey Peak. That might also be the situation there. In the manga, they kind of don't get tied up or restrained. I think they actually need to help the Straw Hats like navigate the Grand Line a little bit because the weather's really crazy. And then when they get close enough to Whiskey Peak, they just jump off the Mary and they swim to the island. But that actually might be in between those two arcs there, right? But yeah, I'd like to see some more scenes with them, because these are characters like Mr. Nine only really shows up in Reverse Mountain and then Whiskey Peak, and that's it. We get some extra stuff with him and Mrs. Monday in the cover pages much later. They actually have a kid together. So I don't know. Maybe since we know that Miss Monday and Mr. Nine get together, maybe we could have a scene where, I don't know, they're like flirting with one another or something at the end of Whiskey Peak, where the Straw Hats leave and it's just Mr. Nine and Miss Monday behind. And there's a moment where they're like, oh, okay, so now what do we do? And it's just like, I don't know. You want to go out to dinner or something? It's just like, I don't know. It's like, it implies that they'll get together and have a kid together. So I don't know. We'll see. Here's Zoro just cutting down a bunch of bounty hunters. Here's Zoro in front of a bunch of bodies. So that's going to be a fun shot. Okay, get ready for Mr. 3, Galdino, being played by David Dastmalchian. This character right here is going to be wild, all right? This character's having a blast with this role. I've seen some interviews between like Iñaki talking about him and some interviews with him as well. He is the guy to play this role. He is the guy that is born to play Mr. 3. First of all, as I said, costume looks great. They make the hair work. The hair looks, like the manga right out of the anime. For some reason, I don't want to say it looks goofy. I mean, inherently, everything kind of looks, over the top campy, but it works in this costume with this scene. And check this out. They gave him, like, these wax fingernails. This is something new. This isn't in the anime or the manga. This makes sense. This works. And I think, like, later on in the scene where he is using his devil fruit in the trailer, the wax comes out of his fingernails. And that's so cool. That's such a cool addition. Like, yeah, he could just make wax nails with his ability. There's also a shot where he just like moves his arm and just summons a wax sword with his powers. Like, it's very intuitive. It just happens. You know, that is so cool. All right. Yeah, I probably said cool and awesome like a million times so far. But like just looking at these images and just showing just like how much the actors are putting into these roles, just like their expressions and like I said, the set design and like also the costuming. It's just they are really trying. They're going 100% with this to make it look and work as much as possible, and they're doing a great job. They really are. So yeah, the effort is definitely appreciated. Also, we have a saber-toothed cat skull in the background. This is I think what they're gonna do, and this is just my opinion. So the final battle when Luffy fights against Galdino by himself, Galdino just kind of runs off into the woods. Luffy follows him, and then he does the wax manner where he just makes a bunch of different copies of himself, and then Luffy has to like, you know, pick out the right one, and he just punches him directly, right? And that's kind of it. That's kind of the final battle with him and Mr. 3. I have a feeling the final battle is going to take place in a cave, like a prehistoric cave in Little Garden, at Little Garden. I think that's the way it's going to go down, because we see this set a couple of other places in the trailer where they're in a cave. They never go in a cave in Little Garden, but a prehistoric cavern in the dinosaur island, that makes sense to me. So, like, we can go ahead with it. Absolutely. Maybe this is inside the volcano. I'm not sure. But I think this is where the final battle between Luffy and Galdino is going to take place. Okay, so now we're getting into the actual trailer that dropped yesterday, all right? So the quality might, like, dip a little bit, like in terms of, like, the screenshots. But, like, yeah, we have a close-up view of Galdino with his glasses and the nails. And then this is the shot, like I said earlier, where he just, like, moves his hand and just a sword, a wax sword, just appears in his hand with his powers. That looks really sick. This is a shot we saw in the first trailer of Vivi and Nami. This is clearly taking place inside of Laboon. So this is probably the introductory scene to Vivi. This is like the first time Nami is seeing her inside of Laboon. This is the shot we've seen a lot before of Robin breaking into the Marine base, and you see Kong and Sengoku there. This is a shot of all 4 prominent Baroque Works members. You can see Mr. 5 is wearing a different outfit here. So this is probably going to be his outfit during... I think he has the same outfit through Whiskey Peak and Little Garden in the manga. I know that Miss Valentine gets a different outfit. She basically... Well, not really a different outfit. She's just wearing the yellow dress at Whiskey Peak, and then when she shows up at Little Garden, she's just wearing a jacket. That's the only difference, but it looks like Mr. 5's getting a different outfit. This outfit is from the Meet Baroque cover page. When him and Miss Valentine are trying to hide from Hina, they kind of wear disguises, but their disguises are still, like, he still has a giant 5 on his costume, but he's in disguise. That's the outfit they're using here, and I love that. Oh, man, they went through the cover pages. So, yeah, we see Vivi, we see Miss Golden Week, and we see Mr. 3 and Mr. 5 there. This is a shot of Wapple's castle, I guess currently Kureha and Chopper's castle. I saw an interview with someone, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was asked, like, what is the most impressive set in the entire season 2? And it is Wapple's castle. Like, Wapple's castle was, like, incredible, what they did with it. Okay, I don't know if they actually got a real castle to shoot in or if they built the set. Obviously, this is, like, an establishing shot of this. This is, you know, partially CG and things like that, obviously. But, like, the interior of what this is going to look like is apparently very, very impressive. Okay. So, this is the scene with Miss Golden Week and Luffy. So, we see Luffy on the ground here. Obviously, he's afflicted by the colors trap here. He's, like, really angry, but he can't move. And then Miss Golden Week is just kind of, like, bending down and, like, drawing on him and saying that, like, oh, you'll never reach the One Piece. You'll never be the king of the pirates. Okay, do you notice? I didn't notice this the first time watching it. I didn't notice until I started going through here again to make this video. Have you noticed the creepy dolls in the background? Have you noticed the creepy-ass baby dolls in the background? The little porcelain dolls. So I guess they're adding that to Miss Golden Week's personality. She does like to hang out and have picnics and drink some tea and eat rice crackers, but she's also into collecting really creepy dolls and then painting the dolls. Okay. Okay, there's another one right here. It's just like, okay. So, Crocus is really into umbrella drinks. and Miss Golden Week is into creepy dolls. So, yeah, that's like little things that add to the personality. Hey, does Miss Golden Week strike you as the kind of character that would collect really creepy dolls and like paint them and then just be like, oh, yes, I will paint you in betrayal black because you betray your friends, little doll. It's just like, yeah, I can kind of see that with her character. Like, there's a little bit of like vague unhingedness with her character in the manga because she did end up joining a criminal organization. Like, let's not like overlook that. She seems like innocent, like she's not that dangerous, but she is a straight up assassin. She's killed people before, right? So having something like that in the background, like, yes, I will paint you in the green. What was green again? I know green yellow was friendship. I'll paint you green yellow in friendship. Oh, I hope we get to see the other colors traps because her ability is just so unique and it's not a devil fruit. It doesn't have anything to do with hockey. It's just a version of like hypnotism, sort of. If I was going to liken it to any other ability in the story, it would be similar to like Django's hypnosis powers, which Django unfortunately did not make it into season 1. But yeah, so we know red is bullseye red that just makes you target whatever the red symbol is on. And then there's betrayal black. And then there's laughter yellow. And then she can combine them like to different colors as well. Like, I don't think we ever get to see blue. I think she mentions blue is sadness, but she combines it with something else, so we don't see blue on its own. So yeah, like, she's a character, and in Meet Baroque, we get a few more. Like, her rainbow one actually makes you realize your dreams and all that. But yeah, I'd like to see a few more of the colors. Like, what does maroon do? What does cyan do? What does chartreuse? What is lavender? What do all these different colors do? I would like to see them in more detail. So yeah, if we can get a few more of those, that would be neat. That would have been something easy for Oda to explain too. Like, hey, Oda, what are the other colors that Mrs. Golden Week does? What are the other abilities we can add in? And he could just like, oh yeah, this is blue does this, purple does this, you know, whatever. We can white does this and be like, oh, okay, we'll just incorporate all those in. Like, easy, right? So that's a scene there. This is an explosion. Most likely due to Mr. Five's bomb fruit. Here's a shot with Luffy wearing his outfit in Drum Island. I did put an image of Chopper in here, the CG Chopper that we're going to get, and yeah, he's at the very end. I think we got to see him revealed during that Totem special a little while ago for Netflix. I think Chopper. I think. Considering, like, I was going back and forth on, like, what would make the most sense to do, like, practical effect with him. And I think it's going to be a mixture. The scene we've seen whenever he's moving around and things like that, that's obviously going to be, like, a CG effect. But it's done very well. And then maybe we'll get some other shots with him that could be done with more practical effects. Kind of like the Baby Yoda thing in Mandalorian. You know, I think they did a combination there. Although, granted, Baby Yoda was, like, mostly in just that one. I've never seen Mandalorian, by the way. But I feel like, yeah, most of the series, he was just in that, like, crib or like that bassinet or something like that, so they didn't have to worry too much about it. But I think there'll be a combination probably. Here's some bounty hunters going after Zoro. I love the bounty hunters at Whiskey Peak. They're just like, yeah, let's just pick up a bunch of guns and just shoot them. Zoro slices up a table. Then there's Lara Bova playing Robin. This is a shot where she's just like, oh, so you are Monkey D. Luffy. You are the captain of these so-called Straw Hat Pirates. Well, you know, you can't protect your friends. Your friends are not made of rubber. So, you know, we can basically implying that, like, yeah, she's going to kill your friends, not you. All right. So then we have a shot of them ascending Reverse Mountain. They do a really good job of showing just like all the different destroyed, like how narrow the pass is to go up the mountain, but also all the shipwrecks along the way, right? Because pretty much there's like an issue getting into the canal, but once they get into the canal, it's like smooth sailing from there pretty much. You know, Luffy has to use the balloon to kind of get them into the canal, but after that, it's easy. This is a different scene where like Luffy's actually using his Gum Gum powers to like grab onto rocks and sort of like steer the ship as they're going up Reverse Mountain. And then you have a shot of Sanji, Usopp, and Zoro here. There's Robin. This is the scene most likely as they're leaving Whiskey Peak. Or it could be another shot altogether, just given the fact, although she's clearly on the Mary, so it's probably that scene. They included Mr. 13 and Miss Friday. That was not on my bingo card, to be honest with you. I thought that, like, oh yeah, the Unluckies are, like, not super. They're like the execution squad or, like, the disciplinary squad of Baroque Works. I guess you really don't get the impression that they could, like, their job is to eliminate agents that fail, but you get the impression that their job is limited mainly to like the millions and billions and maybe the frontier agents, because there's no way Mr. 13 and Miss Friday are taking out like Mr. 1. Like if Mr. 1 or Mr. 2 decide to go rogue, I don't think the Unluckies are taking them down, right? So I think they're more there just for like messaging, and then also like if a frontier agent, like if Mr. like we see, if Mr. 8 or Mr. 9 turns out to go rogue, that's when they show up, right? If Mr. 12 goes rogue, dude, we might even see other members of Baroque Works, because we got concept art of what Mr. 10 looks like. Oda did draw Mr. 10. We've never seen Mr. 6 and Miss Mother's Day, and then we've also never seen Mr. 12 and Miss Saturday. So those characters are complete blank slates. Literally, you could throw them in there wherever, whenever, just to expand out Baroque Works, and it would fit perfectly. And on top of that, if we do get to see Mr. 6 and Mr. 12, they would have probably went to Oda and just asked him to do a quick sketch on what they would have looked like, and then we could have gotten that. So now, after like almost like freaking like 25 years, we could get all of Baroque Works in one setting. That would be sweet. Show us Mr. 6. Show us Miss Mother's Day. Mr. 12, Miss Saturday. Yeah, let's go ahead with it. Also, who is the other one? All right, hold on. Let me just really quick, let me go through the Frontier agents. All right, Mr. 6, Miss Mother's Day. Mr. 7, Miss Father's Day. We do see them during Alabasta, so they're good. Mr. 8, Miss Wednesday. That's Igaram and Vivi. Mr. 9, and then Miss Monday. We see them. Mr. 10, we see the concept art for Mr. 10, and then Mr. 11, we do see Mr. 11, and then Miss Thursday, we never see Miss Thursday, and then Mr. 12 and Miss Saturday, we never see them either, and then this Mr. 13, who is an otter. By the way, I used to think, like, because I never really, paid attention to these characters, honestly, but then I was, like, watching the trailer, and I was like, wait a minute, is Mr. 13 just a mink? And no, Mr. 13 is just an otter. Just an otter, classified as an animal in the One Piece world, as a classified as small dangerous, or like small savage, I guess the classification system they have, right? Like A, B, C, and D. And so, yeah. And then Miss Friday is a vulture. And then there's this awesome scene where the one that's seeing them is Sanji, right? Taz Skylar. And there's a funny scene in the trailer where he's looking up at them and it's just like, what the fuck? You gotta be fucking kidding me. What the hell? And they cut it off. But I want Sanji to drop the F-bomb in this scene, because there's no other way to react to an otter with a Gatling gun mounted on a vulture coming right at you than like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And then you just see the scene where he's running back to you see the wax house in the background, Mr. 3's wax house, right? This is a scene with Miss Valentine just using her Kilo no Mi powers to land on the ground and cause like a big boom. Then a scene where Mr. 9 is fighting against Zoro. There's some cool choreography there. Here's Mr. 5, Gem of the Border, with his guns. He does a cool gun twirl during Little Garden, like I said, different outfit. There's Vivi doing the dance. I think they're going more with the anime outfit rather than the manga outfit. The anime outfit has like the stripes. The manga outfit has like the hypnotic pattern, like the swirls on it. So they're definitely going more with the anime inspired outfit here for Vivi. This is Igaram. Dude, this is I want to okay. I showed this. I was at my friend's last night, right? My friend Chris. He doesn't watch anime. He's like the furthest guy. He just doesn't like anime. He's not into it, all right? But he knows what I do as like an anime reviewer and stuff like that. And so I was like, yeah, he asked me, hey, did you film a video? And he's like, yeah, not today, but tomorrow I got to do this video on like a trailer, right, for the new Netflix live action. So I was showing him this. And he at least laughed when Igaram showed up. And he's just like, wait a minute. So I'm like, so it's just a bunch of random stuff. Like, it's like, so there's an otter with a Gatling gun, and here's a guy that fights with baseball bats, and here's a woman that can be really heavy, and here's a guy that has guns in his hair that looks like kind of like Beethoven. And my friend's just reaction is just like, oh, so it's just a bunch of random nonsense. And I'm like, yeah, no, pretty much. Yeah, that is, you nailed it right there. Honestly, that is One Piece, and that's why we love it. Okay, so here's Igaram, played by Yonda Thomas. But yeah, the scene where he like pulls the tie and the gun barrels come up, and then there's a scene where he's literally doing the oh Igaram Papa, as the gun barrels are just look. Is it ridiculous? Absolutely. Did they adapt it perfectly? Hell yes. Hell yes. All right. Okay. Then we have a scene with Galdino shooting the wax out of his fingers. This is the shot of the lightning strike at the scaffolding at Logtown with it blowing up the scaffold. Here's Miss Valentine and Mr. Five. This is where he flicks one of his booger bombs that then blows up the baking cart. No, not the bakery mobile. So they had that thing show up. That's going to play a role in the action scene. Whiskey Peak is just going to be an action scene. I just realized because of Mr. Five's ability, they got to do a whole different, like, they got to bring in pyrotechnics work now for all this shit. Like, they got to make these explosions look good, and that looks like a good explosion to me. I've seen lots of action movies in my day. I've seen the Bourne trilogy. This is a good explosion, right? So now they had to bring in a whole pyrotechnics expert to make this work. Like, they're really going for it. Oh, this is Luffy using the combination of the, when he has the, was it Gum Gum Uno mallet, or something, champion mallet or something, when he gets the wax pillar on his hand, the candle lock, and then he uses that as a hammer to destroy the candle set. So that's pretty cool there. We can see a dinosaur skull in the background. Like I said, this is taking place in some kind of like cave area where they're fighting. Flaming Sword Zoro. Yeah! Zoro with his flaming onigiri busting out of the candle set, and then he lands there. There's Robin jumping off the Mary at the end of the trailer there. Oh, do we not have Chopper? Oh, yeah, we have Chopper. Chopper's right here. I just forgot to include him there. But yeah, and then there's CG Chopper. There's Chopper! And looks great, you know? He's got the antlers. He's got the hat. He looks like Tony Chopper would look in this universe. Voice is awesome too. So like, yeah, everything's working. Everything is lining up for this season to be better than season 1, and I already like season 1. Yeah. The costuming, like you can see here, Luffy has a different outfit based off. They're still doing the things based off of the cover pages. All of the names of the episodes are based off of like movie parodies or movie titles, and they did that with the girl with the sawfish tattoo, and I think it worked really good for that. So they went full on with that. So, and they went full on with that, so I think that works. We also have, I think I also do have them here. Yeah, the different, at the beginning of every episode, they do the title cards, and the title cards all have the different Jolly Rogers on them. So we have Rogers for Logtown. There's the Rumbar crew for Reverse Mountain, because we are going to see, I think, Brook in the background. We're going to see Yorkie, and we're going to see Brook when he was still alive. Like, they've teased this, I think, a couple times to the point where it's like, we're going to see Brook. He's not just going to be in the background either. He's going to have some lines, and I think he's even going to be like, oh, hello there, my name is Brook. Yo! Because also, like, look, I would love for this to keep going all the way up to where we are in the story. There's a meme that the cast are all going to be in their 80s by the time they get there. I don't think it's going to be that bad, honestly, and straight up, like, really, you could just do, because this takes place in a different universe than the One Piece universe, right? Like, this is the live action thing. Things do not play out exactly the same way. You could easily do a thing where you have the Straw Hats, you know, age more. Like, they go through, instead of a 2-year time skip, it's a 5-year time skip or whatever. Like, you could just have the Straw Hats journey taking longer than it does. Because in the anime and in the manga, it does really take, like, less than, like, a year for them to reach the other side of the world. And then 2-year time skip. And then, like, maybe not even another year has passed since then. So you could do a thing where it takes longer for them, you know? Like, by the time they reach Wano, Luffy is in his 40s. Like, why not? Like, I don't know. Like, it takes their journey a little longer. But anyway, yeah. So we don't know for certain, though, if we're going to make it all the way to Thriller Bark, right? Like, we know Alabasta is a given. We're getting that. We don't know if we're going to get Skypiea. We don't know if we're going to get Enies Lobby. I really hope we do. But you know what? If we never reach Thriller Bark, then at least put Brook here, right? Like, why not? Why wouldn't you? So that was the trailer. Let me know down below on everything that you liked about the trailer. What was, like, your favorite part of it? And what are you most excited for season 2? And if there's anything additional, like, just like, oh, I don't know how they're going to adapt this, or they might have to remove this. Like, how are they going to possibly adapt all the dinosaurs? How are they going to do Luffy being eaten by a brachiosaur and then Broggy showing up or Dory showing up and cutting it in half? How are they going to do that? Are they going to do that? Are they going to change it around so it's something else? Let me know what you think they could possibly do and what they couldn't do with the story. And then I will get around to doing those last 2 episodes of Season 1. I promise. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Signing out.